Today's topic is this map, which was in one of Oswald's notebooks. This comes from an HSCA document, and it's a 3-page PDF file that is available in both the Malcolm Blunt archive and the John Armstrong archive. The version I'm using here comes from the Blunt archive because the quality of the graphics is better. And this document has this map, which is a reproduction of a page from one of Oswald's notebooks. Now, actually, this whole thing is not in Oswald's notebook. I'll bring up Oswald's notebook here. This is the page from Oswald's notebook, and the part I have in red there is the map that is in Oswald's notebook. That is, it's just that little map. It's not the big map. So I think the writer of the HSCA document drew the large map because he was able to recognize from what is written here and from what is drawn the location being referred to, which is pretty clever of him. And it also has this commentary. Now the commentary, you go to the second page of it, you can see it says Sidney A. Martin II, October 5th, 1976, which predates the HSCA. So this apparently is an HSCA copy of some other document. I don't know who Sidney A. Martin II is. Maybe I'll go look and see if I can find out. No, I don't know who he is or who he was. But I think what he wrote here is a good introduction to this map. So I'm going to read that. According to the Warren Report, Lee Harvey Oswald, together with his wife Marina, proceeded by train from Moscow to Rotterdam via Warsaw and Berlin without stopping. And by the way, this is when they're leaving the Soviet Union to come to the U.S. Doubt has been raised about this by critics who point out that while Marina's passport bore a stamp indicating she had crossed the border between East and West Germany at Helmstedt, Oswald's did not. Whether Oswald would have gotten such a stamp in his American passport at that time is a technical question which would have to be checked with the appropriate authorities. The West German consulate in Chicago could not provide an answer. There is reason to believe he stopped over in West Berlin, however. On a page in his address book facing another page on which reference is made to American Express in Rotterdam, as well as to the Holland-American Lines ship Maasdam, on which he sailed home, there is a notation reading West Berlin, FRG, Federal Republic of Germany. Below that is an unlabeled freehand map which corresponds to a portion of the Spree River where it crosses the border between East and West Berlin, as well as a system of streets in both East and West. A rectangular dot on the map corresponds to the location of the Lehrter Stadtbahnhof, city train station, the first stop on the S-Bahn, overhead railroad, which is operated by the communists in East and West Berlin. After it crosses the wall, actually a canal at that point, from the east, the stop just before that is the Friedrichstrasse station, which serves both S-Bahn and long-distance trains, including those from Warsaw. Passengers holding a Western passport can cross over from the long-distance trains to the S-Bahn and enter West Berlin in this way. Except for a walk down Friedrichstrasse from the station to Checkpoint Charlie, this is the only way for U.S. citizens to do so. It is here at the Lehrte S-Bahn station, literally the first place the purported defector could have set foot on free soil after 2.5 years behind the Iron Curtain, that he makes a mark. So apparently Oswald has a mark on his map at the first spot he could get off the train coming into West Germany. It is hard to find an innocent explanation of these scribblings. He wouldn't draw a map of a city he didn't plan to visit. He wouldn't mark a station he didn't plan to use. He wouldn't see the sights without his wife. He must have planned to meet with someone and talk about something. The conclusion seems inescapable that Oswald, rather than proceeding to Rotterdam by train, took the first opportunity to be debriefed by American intelligence concerning his faked defection to the Soviet Union. This is why I think this is not an official investigator, because he's coming to this conclusion here. Next to the map, he wrote Lee H., possibly the way he identified himself to his contact. But if that's the case, why would he need to write it down? I mean, his name is Lee H. Oswald. You'd think he could remember that. He is known to have used variations on his name as aliases at other times. In Oak Cliff, for example, he was known as O.H. Lee. That way he could claim he had been misunderstood. Following the debriefing, he would have flown to Rotterdam, probably by way of Hanover, hence no stamp. The famed Zentrale Flughafen, I think I was right the first time, Berlin Tempelhof, the only airport in Europe located in the middle of a city, is at the corner of Tempelhofer Dam and Columbia Dam. Tempelhofer Dam forms the southmost leg of the street system on Oswald's map. The words Tempelhofer Dam follow West Berlin FRG above the map. Apparently Oswald managed to find the airport and then flew to Rotterdam, met Marina, and sailed home to play the role of a disillusioned defector. His map of Berlin is but one of several clues in his address book. His reference to microdots in conjunction with his employment with the Jaggers Child Stovall Company, to his true status as an American agent with a communist cover. With that realization, the entire facade of Oswald as the lone leftist assassin disintegrates, exposing the ugly truth of the right-wing plot to assassinate the Bay of Pigs president and all its baleful consequences. Okay, I think Sidney A. Martin must be what is technically termed a kook. That is, an assassination researcher, and he obviously has come to a particular conclusion here. So I think this does not represent the view of the HSCA, but is simply a document they had in their possession. So what Martin has done, apparently, in this diagram, apparently most of this is Martin's hand-drawn map. He looked at Lee Harvey Oswald's notebook map, and he was able to identify where it was, presumably because it says Top Tempelhofer Dam, and the large map here is a representation of the small map, only things are marked out on it. And what is on Oswald's map, his rectangular marked out spot, is the first train station when you get into West Germany. And so what it looks like here is that Oswald has marked, or whoever wrote it in Oswald's notebook, has marked out the first station in West Germany and has drawn a map that is going to show where the station is in relation to where he's going to go and at Tempelhofer Dam. And going back to Oswald's notebook here, I agree with Martin. I think he's got the location right. I think he's meeting that whoever wrote this in the notebook is going to meet somebody at Tempelhofer Dam, and that this map is to remind him how to get there, and that Tempelhofer Dam is at the bottom of the map. That's not marked out on the map, but presumably the person who wrote it can remember something. And what I think it means is he's going to meet Lee Harvey Oswald here, because I think the imposter went to the Soviet Union, and that before they return to the United States, they have to make the switch, and that is Marina has to go with Lee Harvey Oswald instead of the person she actually married. And I think in Armstrong's terminology, Harvey is the one that Marina married, and that Harvey and Marina are leaving from behind the Iron Curtain. They're coming to West Germany, and that once they get into West Germany, I think they get off at the first train station, and then they go to Tempelhofer Dam, and they meet Lee Harvey Oswald. And Lee Harvey Oswald and Marina get back on the train or take the next train and continue the journey. And I think this might explain also in the document Martin talks about not getting a passport stamp. Well, I think it's because Lee Harvey Oswald is carrying a physically different passport than Harvey Oswald is carrying. And I'm just using Harvey because that's the Armstrong construct. I don't know what his name is, but the passports have photos in them. And so if Harvey is going to the Soviet Union pretending to be Lee Harvey Oswald, he would have to have Lee Harvey Oswald's passport, but with his own photograph in it. And Lee Harvey Oswald, if he's going to use his passport, he has to have Oswald's passport, but with his own photo in it. So I think we have two physically different passports. And the one that was traveling with Harvey from East Germany is not the one that got back on the train and got stamped. Well, actually, I guess it would be Harvey's that would have got stamped when he came from behind the Iron Curtain. And Lee's isn't stamped, and Lee's is the one we have in evidence. So this would explain why there's no stamp on Lee Harvey Oswald's passport for entering West Germany. Because Lee Harvey Oswald did not come from behind the Iron Curtain. He never went to the Soviet Union. He met Harvey, or whoever, in West Germany. So Lee Harvey Oswald's passport never got stamped for entering West Germany from East Germany. However he got to West Germany, he didn't need to have his passport stamped. So what I'm saying is that the imposter is the one that went to the Soviet Union, not Lee Harvey Oswald. Lee Harvey Oswald stayed in the United States and probably went to Cuba and Mexico too, and did his Castro stuff, while the other one was in the Soviet Union. And then when the other one leaves the Soviet Union, they have to make the switch because Lee Harvey Oswald has to be the real guy when he re-enters the United States. And the switch was made here in West Germany. That's my interpretation. And I'm saying that this is not an American intelligence operation. This is Lee Harvey Oswald and his friend Harvey. I think they are genuine commies. One of them went to the Soviet Union, one went to Cuba, and both of them are involved with Soviet and Cuban intelligence. And I don't think if this was an American intelligence operation, then I don't think they'd be doing this switch in Berlin. Though they might do it there, I suppose. They might, but that's not what I think. I don't agree with Sidney Martin on his interpretation there. Most people don't hold the view I hold, but I think this is not an American intelligence operation at this time. Although I do think American intelligence was aware of it, and that's how they came to use Harvey and Lee to assassinate John Kennedy, because they were aware of this all along. All right, I think that covers this topic from my perspective.